All right, good evening, everyone. This is Jason Grant once again. This time I'm speaking to a very, very special guest. And this time it's the CEO of Quant project and the Overledger project. So Gilbert is going to talk to us about what they're working on and how this very interesting project of connecting blockchains together is likely to work. Gilbert, I don't have a sort of practice of like introducing people too much in detail because I always fail to cover the most important aspects. So please just introduce yourself and share with us the most important aspects of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jason, thank you for inviting me to the chat and doing this live. It's always a pleasure to do it. So thank you very much. Um, I guess a background of mine. So my career is in cybersecurity. So I've been working over 20 years in cybersecurity, and it was very technical. The early aspects of the career was um, breaking into things legally, of course, for government and for enterprise, and then working my way up into the C-level, being responsible for cybersecurity across a government or across a company. So I have been working mainly in financial services and government in most of my career, with quite a few years in consulting at Ernst & Young, also at PwC, and working across different sectors there as well. So I've been a CIO, a CTO, and a CISO, as a Chief Security Officer, for quite a while before working on Quant. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm a technical person with a business background, I guess. Yeah.
Awesome. That makes the two of us really, because I started my career as a full stack developer, then made my way through UX design and lots of consultancy. And now I kind of work in a mixture of coaching, consulting, blockchain, speaking at public conferences and interviewing people like yourself to really find out what the hell is going on in this blockchain space. So usually I would have a conversation with everyone around 7 areas of business that we work with at Integral, which is purpose, people, systems, innovation, products, money, and growth. But since the nature of Overledger is slightly different to other type of projects that so far we've spoken to, we'll go straight into a little bit more of the system side of things, and because Overledger's got an amazing team, and that's clear from the outset.
Yeah.
So let's go straight into a little bit more of the kind of dive into the depths of Overledger's system, and just tell us a little bit for those who haven't sort of delved into the depths of the white paper and so on. Tell us a little bit of like an end-to-end purpose of Overledger as a system. What does it do and how does it work on the kind of top level of it all?
Okay. No, thank you. So I guess if you think about where we are with blockchain, I can start with a story. So my first I guess initial connection with blockchain was in 2008. So to me, I was working as a CTO in the Treasury in the UK, and blockchain, Bitcoin, the paper came out, and I was one of the first to read it. It was just because to me, it's just another form of a security application, all the keys and PKI and all that stuff. So I was very interested in it, and I thought, this is pretty cool tech, and I got the government introduced to it. So I spoke about it in government, and I got the policy guys in my department to do a policy paper on it, and they said, this is too early. It's never going to have any material impact to the UK. So to me, that was correct, and at the time, 2008, 2009. But I kept working on it because to me, the technology is good. The way it's put together from different areas which have been around for years. So PKI has been around for years. Fault tolerance has been around for years. The way it does consensus has been around for years. So the way it all fit together was really, quite neat. So I kept working on it as a security guy. I'm curious about everything. And then I saw, I guess, something that annoyed me. I saw that people are building the technology, but they're not doing it collaboratively. Everyone's building their own version. Everyone's building their own thing. And I thought, this isn't right. We're doing pretty much the same as what happened in the 80s with, databases or mainframes or whatever with technology. If you went with IBM or if you went with Sun at the time or Oracle, you kind of stuck with that technology forever because you can't get off it. So what I wanted to do was to give some flexibility and get people working together. And so we kind of worked this out in the use case when I was at the Department of Health. So I was responsible as a CISO. So I was responsible for the safety and security of everyone's patient data. And so we had a really big interoperability issue with data sources being all over the place and across different jurisdictions. And this was in e-health, connecting healthcare. And the challenge was really easily solved with blockchain. So I thought, this is really good. We can use blockchain because it can solve a real world use case. And so the idea of Overledger was, let's not change the underlying blockchain because there's 5 versions, there's 500 versions. It kind of doesn't really matter. And it's too political. You try and go and fork one of the blockchains, it's going to take years of effort and work, and you're not going to get the best outcome if you do that. So rather than forcing everyone to adopt the way you want blockchain to work, why not impose a neutral way and let your technology work with any blockchain? So we did the reverse. And working with, I used to work at HSBC, we had a similar issue. The technology in the back end, it costs a lot of money to run. It costs, billions of dollars. You can't go as a company, even IBM can't go to HSBC and say, you need to change your back end. And it has to work to the IBM way. They're just going to go, thanks, but no thanks. We won't do that. So we wanted to create the layer and the abstraction that sat on top of blockchain, which didn't make anyone change anything. It just carried on as is, but it provided that overlay on top and it gave you the way to do interoperability. It's really similar to the way the internet does routing and TCP/IP. So we took a lot of the learning from our experience working with the internet from the early days and apply that to blockchain technology to provide a very open, flexible way for people to connect blockchains, but also have all the blockchains connect to existing systems. And that's quite important because, as I said, you can't ask a government or a company or anyone to completely change everything just for you. You have to do it the other way around. So that's how Overledger was born. And out of the idea, it also led to creating the ISO standard. So I founded that because of this idea, and now we've got about 7 different work streams tackling how we can all, as a society, standardize blockchain to benefit everyone. And we've got 40 countries working on it at the moment. So it's quite a big global effort. And the next ISO meeting is going to be in May, so everyone's going to come here, which is going to be quite exciting.
Okay, so I didn't really know anything about any of this, so it's cool information. So it's amazing to know that like HSBC inspired a standardization of blockchain. That's quite something. So okay, the next question is really, so what is it like a typical or set of typical use cases that you might see for Overledger in practical world?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can talk about a bank that we're the one of our customers that we're working with, and the comment from that bank is, they have done blockchain experiments using all the technologies out there. So So they said, look, we love blockchain, we think it's good. Like everyone else, we're trying everything, but they're kind of hesitating to take the next step. And what they're saying is, well, we don't know which blockchain to back, and that's the problem. So they don't want to go and put tens and hundreds of millions of pounds into a particular technology if it turns out to be the wrong one, and that's a huge risk, for someone at that scale. So what this bank is looking to do is use our technology to de-risk their blockchain experiments and their blockchain investment, because what we allow them to do is, if they have everything on Ethereum or on Hyperledger, and something goes wrong, then they're kind of stuck. So we give enterprise the ability to have more freedom and more flexibility to do a lot more with blockchain, and truly be across multiple chains. So we're calling our technology applications, we're calling them maps, so multi-chain applications, not dApps. So dApps is a single blockchain, whereas our one is multiple. And so this bank is looking to use Overledger for them to de-risk what they've got, and for them to actually have bits of their applications on one blockchain and bits of on another and bits on another. And it's to give them more resilience, to de-risk what they're doing, and to manage cost. Because if you think about it, if you put your technology on a particular blockchain, you're stuck to the fees. And that's kind of a monopoly. You don't have a choice. But without technology, we give more flexibility and more openness to do things quite differently. So that's one use case. Another one is a startup that we're working with. They're in London as well, and they're, excuse me, they're basically doing identity on the blockchain, and they're doing it for Dubai Airport. That's one of their first customers. So the idea of that is you get off the plane. There's no real immigration because your identity is assessed as soon as you get off the plane with all the facial recognition, biometrics, all the stuff that happens. And then because the system knows you, you just walk straight out. That's the goal. That's the end. That's the use case. So that works really well because you can put, I think they're doing something like 20, 30 million passengers a month that go through Dubai. So you can register 20, 30 million people a month. And that's great on a blockchain. But the problem is you get off at Dubai, but what if you go to another airport after that? How does your identity go from one airport to another? And how does it go from one blockchain to another? So if you fly from Dubai to them, they're using, let's just say, Hyperledger, and Dubai is using whatever, Ethereum, then there's a problem. The identities can't talk to each other. So we're creating the bridge between different blockchains to solve that problem. So when you go to different airports, your identity can travel and traverse blockchain, no matter what they use. So there's a couple. The areas we're focusing on are financial services, supply chain, healthcare, and government, and they're the main verticals that we're looking to work towards.
All right, that's actually the airport one sounds very, very cool because I was coming back from Romania earlier this week, and for some reason the stupid scanning machines were closed down and the queues were backed up all the way, and I was just thinking, man, you so need blockchain in the space. So I'm looking forward to that being implemented. And so Krishna, that previous question was from Joseph. Krishna's asking, for those who are too lazy to go through the white paper in detail, can you give us a simple explanation on how the end-to-end interoperability is achieved without any intermediary or connectors?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got the core of our technology, which is patented, and we did this to protect the inner core. And what we've done is open up everything else. So the small bit of the technology that the way we do our ordering and messaging is patented, but everything else is just open source, and that's the way we're doing. So we took a good solid year of research to get to this answer, and basically what we did was look at look at the inspiration of the internet. As I said, we didn't create bridges or connectors and anything that's complex that's going to provide more overhead, and we didn't create another blockchain. So what we did was sit on top, do end-to-end, and the way we've done it, it's in the white paper, and the way we did it was looking at the different components of each chain, and what we looked at was the op codes and the messaging spaces within different blockchains, and using that as a mechanism to be able to read and write. And so if you're reading from one destination and writing to a different one source and writing to a different destination, we're using the technology already in existing blockchains in order to be able to take the blocks that are in question, so blockchain A and blockchain B, putting those into Overledger as kind of like a virtual block, allowing them to read and write to the destination direct. This is all direct, and not adding any more consensus to it. And if you think about it, it's quite a clever way, because we're not adding more overhead to what's already down there, and we're respecting the rules of the bottom blockchains. So if one blockchain operates at 10 transactions and then the other one transaction operates at 1,000 transactions, we have to wait until that's done on both blockchains. So it's committed, and then it's released, and then you've got the destination written to the destination chain. So we've done it in a unique way, which really decouples the messaging layer from the transactional layer, which is again the way we're doing it, like TCP/IP. And we had to put some clever things in the technology to make sure that you're writing to the right destination chain, because if you're writing to a particular chain and it gets cut and it's not the right one, there's an error, and it's not committed, then you've written to something that's gone. So you lose your data. And so the way we've done that is again looking at the way computers work, and if you look at the hard drive and disk checksums and TCP/IP, and we've taken the best of technology out there and applied it to blockchain. And so what we did was create something called a verification block, which sits there and it polls the destination to make sure it's being written to the right chain. And once it's written to the right chain, then you get the OK, and we're using something called a two-phase commit to do that. And then you've got the OK, and once you've got that, then it writes to the right chain. And if you don't, it does it again until it gets written to the correct one. So we're taking bits and pieces of how this has been solved in existing technology, but applying it in a blockchain world.
Wow, so there seems to be some serious amount of witchcraft going on there to make it all happen. So the next question is then, which protocols are you supporting in your testnet to start off with? And maybe extension of that question is, which protocols are you looking to support? And I suppose in protocols here is a question around which blockchains.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's many blockchains, right? So we're starting off with the main ones, and the goal that we've set to the public is by Q2 we'll have the basic versions of the MVP out to be able to test. And to do that, it's the Bitcoin connectors and the Ethereum connectors are being written. So we're testing those, and a lot of the code has already started last year, because we did it in parallel with the research and the patent. And there's a lot of components that are already done and working, like the verification, the way we're doing the messaging. We can handle a couple 100,000 transactions a second. So we're built everything to be internet scale. So all of this stuff has been progressing since last year, since we started. And the goal is to get the first alpha out in Q2 this year. So not that long from now, for people to see and test it out and play with it. And for us, it's as I said earlier, it's open source. It's for the community. We want the community to benefit from the technology to build true multi-chain applications across all blockchains. You can decide to do it on 1 or 3 or 10 or 100. It just depends. And if there's, the way we've done our CTO Colin calls it on-ramps, which are the connectors into the different chains. That can be easily duplicated in using our method to connect another one. So if there's a new blockchain called, I don't know, JSON chain, right? Then we can adopt that methodology to connect to the new blockchain that's being developed or released in the future. So we're making this quite future-proof, so it always connects existing and future networks.
All right, and so there's a question around. Anonymous asks, because currently blockchain tech doesn't really scale as it's currently sitting. Maybe there's some things being done around Lightning networks and off-chain scaling, all that stuff. But like, how are you going to ensure that this is going to work fast when, let's say, Bitcoin blockchain is relatively slow in its performance, and Ethereum can quite slow down as soon as like kitten starts siren. How are you going to? How come you've decided to build on top of effectively technology that quote unquote doesn't scale?
Yeah, so I think blockchain. I mean, it doesn't scale yet, and that's the question, right? So, and it's just a matter of time. If you've been really close to the academic side of what's been progressing, there's a particular blockchain called Red Belly blockchain, and this was developed out of a university in Sydney, and they basically created a consensus mechanism that does 600,000 transactions a second. So if you think about that, that's faster than what Visa do in terms of their credit card processing. They do something like, I think it was 140,000 from memory. So the technology is scaling in the very near future. So the Ethereum, I think there'll be new versions of that coming out in the next few years that will be quite fast and quite scalable. Bitcoin, I think it's going to be quite a while, so it will be around for a while. But then there's new generation of blockchains being developed that do things slightly differently in a different way. So I think what we're doing is letting that progress, and we're sitting on top, allowing people to use any blockchain. So it's really up to the enterprise or the developer to say, well, in my application, in my map, which is my multi-chain application, I want the user authentication bit to be done very quickly. I'm not going to put it in a database. I'm going to put it on a blockchain, so they can put it on a fast blockchain. That's one component of their application. Then they could say, well, the other part of their application, which is, let's just say, writing records about a particular customer, so like a CRM, they don't need that to be on a fast blockchain because it happens, once an hour. So then they could put that bit of their application on a slower blockchain because they don't need the speed. So we're allowing how developers to benefit and get the best out of different blockchains and put it all together in one way. So I think it's just going to get better. The underlying stack is improving. I mean, there's some new stuff that came out yesterday actually, which was around Neo, which is another new blockchain. Unfortunately, when people started digging, they found that Neo is only running on 7 nodes, and it doesn't have fault tolerance built in. If one of the nodes went down, goes down, the whole thing goes down, and it's got Byzantine tolerance, but it really doesn't. So we're going to see an evolution and maturity of blockchains happen over and above what's out there now.
Okay, so the next question is again coming in from Andy, and Andy asks, in layman's terms, explain the token utility. So for Overledger, you also have a token. What's the utility of that token? How does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've done everything. The team are all professionals. We've been working, in government and enterprise for quite a while. So we've done everything at a very high standard, and so we've been very close to the regulator in Switzerland. We're using KPMG to do all of our regulatory compliance, all the stuff around tax, etc. So when we looked at it, what we've decided to do is the Quant token, which is QNT, is the ticker, so to speak. So the Quant token is used purely to access the network. And what that means is, we haven't set a particular price to say you need 1,000 Quant tokens to access the network. What we're doing is letting the market decide. And so what we're allowing people to do is use the token to access what we're going to build is an app store. And what the app store is going to do is allow people to publish their own applications. So they're maps, they're multi-chain applications. And it's using the technology in the token to pretty much access the way you would access any other technology to authenticate and authorize you. And if you think about it, what it is a similar model to Apple. Apple make you buy like a £1,000 token, because the keys in here are what give you access into the Apple App Store, and you've got the 1 billion apps or whatever it is for you to access. So we're taking a similar approach. Instead of making you buy a phone, you can buy tokens to access the store. So the more people use and the more publish, then there's more tokens that are being used to access the store, and that's going to be set by the market.
And so do you see this token actually then down the line also being floated on exchanges and so on, or is it going to be more likely to stay some sort of like internal token?
Yeah, we don't have any plans to list this on an exchange. We're not a cryptocurrency or a crypto token that you can buy things with. It's not, and the regulation that we're in with FINMA in Switzerland, it doesn't allow for that. So we're not looking at that in terms of doing it. The token is for accessing the platform and the marketplace, the App Store. The demand is based on the amount of people, apps and whatever they publish within the App Store. So we don't have plans currently to list on an exchange.
So on your Telegram channel, the advertising is that in 5 days you're releasing a business paper. Can you tell us a little bit about the business paper versus the white paper versus any sort of ICO? Because you're going to be pushing out this token. I guess you're going to be welcoming purchasers of the token. Can you tell us a little bit about white paper, business paper, ICO? What's that all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So the technical paper you've seen, it's it's scientific and it's a hard read. So what we want
to bring a friend mathematician to the party, and yeah.
Yeah, you try and explain that in a party, it's going to be difficult. So absolutely. I guess the idea behind it was to demonstrate the depth of the technology. We've put a lot of thought into this. This idea has been around really since 2015. When I was thinking of doing this, when I was in the government there. So what we wanted to do was show the scientific depth of what we came up with, and that's the whole purpose of the technical white paper. We've got no details of any tokenomics or business models or anything in there. So we've kept it separate. And to help the market, the industry, we're publishing the business paper, which again, this has been done with KPMG. That they've been our legal advisors and regulatory advisors in this. So what we're looking at is our business problem that we're solving, the solutions and on how we're solving it, what we're looking to do around our services, the verticals which I mentioned, financial services, supply chain, healthcare, and government, the business model. So how we're looking to create revenue out of this. I mean, we're looking to continuously improve the platform. We want to reinvest a lot into the technology, and we're in it for the long term. You know, we've got a 5-year roadmap of what we need to develop and what we need to do for the platform, but also on top of the platform. You know, we've got customers that we're looking to build some software as a service applications. One of them is a regulator. They want us to provide a KYC AML view of blockchains and the transactions that happen on all chains. And so we want to give them that compliance view across chains. So that's one of our products that we'll develop. We've got some enterprise products that the customers are asking for that you know we can develop on the platform, and then also some middleware. So our business model that we're going to talk about in the paper is showing you that how the App Store works, what products we're thinking of publishing and putting on there, and also our tokenomics and roadmap, you know, for the next 5 years. So it's quite an easy read. I think it's only 20 pages. It's not, you know, 50 like the other one, but it sets our vision, what we're trying to accomplish, the business problem, and how we're going to solve it.
So just the sort of silly joke came into my head that, you know, there was this meme that was in the advertising and marketing industry where, you know, marketers talk a lot about branded content, and there's this like little cartoon where it says, Daddy, can you please, instead of a nighttime story, can you read me some branded content? I just had like a different joke in my head, which was around, Daddy, instead of a nighttime story, can you read me a business paper, a blockchain business paper? So maybe that's like compared to the actual technical paper, that's more like a nighttime story level, comprehensible by regular people. And so tell us then a little bit more around sort of, because I didn't expect to hear you saying, you know, you patented an aspect of this, yet it's open source. So tell us a little bit about this patent versus open source versus centralized, decentralized nature of Overledger. What's going on there? Why did you patent something, and why are you keeping this open source? I think I understand the answer to the latter, but I don't necessarily so much understand why you patented something.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, like any other company, you know, you have IP, and you patent your IP to protect the nature of the invention, and you know, we're another company like a Google or anyone else, you know. So we're doing everything the right way, as I said, to high standards. So the patent is it's been filed. So it was filed on the 1st of December. It's an EU patent. And over the next 2 to 3 years, there's 3 other supporting patents, and we'll have to do that in each jurisdiction. So that's just part of business for these days. You know, everyone operates in this manner. So we've patented the core, which is how we're doing I guess the messaging and ordering, you know, in terms of how you read from one chain and write to another. So it's really, it's in the patent. If anyone wants to read it, it's out there. But that's the core. Now that is a very small bit of Overledger, right? Everything around it is what's open. And if you think about it, what we're building are open SDKs, so people can download everything from our GitHub. It's all going to be hosted there. And we've already started putting stuff on GitHub. So if you check regularly, we'll be dropping things, you know, as we progress in our roadmap. There'll be regular drops of components that we've built, the on-ramps, the connectors, the way we're doing messaging between different chains. There's a lot that we've already got that we'll start publishing for people to start using or thinking about using, you know, and they think, oh, this is a good way to do it, or they might, the community might come back and say, actually, there's a better way, and you know, we're open for that. So our model is to be collaboratively innovative, is I guess the right way to put it. So we want the help of the community to progress and evolve the technology, and we're open to working in collaboration. So most of the stuff that we're building is pretty much open source. And if you Again, look at Apple as a model. Xcode, everything is open. You just download it. All the SDKs are open, and then you go off and build your applications. How they run the App Store and the underlying stuff is what's internal, but everything else is kind of more open. And the licensing they use, will be using open source licensing for the code that's published. We're also publishing. We're calling it a BPI, so it's not an API. It's a blockchain programming interface, and that's a way you can call upon and use the stuff that we're building in Overledger. So that's all going to be open and documented. Again, will be on GitHub for people to use, and then there'll be a lot of community engagement, and we're quite surprised and happy that everyone has taken Overledger so close to heart, and there's such a good community and a good involvement already. Our Telegram channel is really cool. We love all the stuff, and the fans really they're really getting behind it. And once people understand what's possible, we've built an operating system for people to use all this open technology underneath it to build new things that just don't exist today. And so we're using a lot of language like build the future, be different, do things properly at an internet scale level. Using our technology, so we're quite open and looking forward to working more with the community.
So, just going back to that idea, what is Overledger centralized or decentralized concept?
It's more than decentralized. It's multi-chain, so it doesn't just sit across all the nodes in Ethereum or all the nodes in Neo or Hyperledger or whatever. It sits across all the nodes on all the blockchains, and so it's I don't know, it's hyper decentralized, is another way to put it.
So I'm trying to understand, as a sort of ex-developer, but I used to develop back in the sort of centralized web times, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so where does then Overledger as a protocol sit? Is it like another layer on top of all of this that's somehow decentralized across all the blockchains, or where does it actually reside?
Yeah. So think of it as a virtual operating system that runs on different components of different blockchains. And so it's never in the one place. It's never dependent on one chain, and it operates within different blocks across different nodes across different chains. So hyper decentralized is pretty much the way it is. Yeah.
Hyper decentralized ledger.
Yeah.
Okay, and so one of the questions, I'm just sort of rehashing a question that was somewhat badly formulated, but good intention in there. Going forward, do you see this Overledger being compatible with things like IOTA's Tangle network or Hashgraph and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So whatever the underlying chain is, if it's IOTA, if it's Golem, if it's Neo, if it's Ethereum, Bitcoin, Hyperledger, Interledger, everything. So whatever the underlying chain is, we're going to sit on top of it and have the on-ramps to it, so to be able to talk, read and write to each chain. So yes, it will be compatible to current and future blockchains. I mean, there could be a new blockchain next year which no one knows about now that's being invented. We'll just build the connector, the on-ramp into it, to be able to make the best use of that new blockchain. Yeah.
And so, to what extent is adding new blockchain protocol support, like these new connectors, to what extent does that slow down Overledger or complicate it, or is the idea to keep exactly the same language and API on the Overledger and keep the performance overall as much as possible optimized, while adding more and more blockchains underneath?
Yeah, so think of it. Think of it the way that TCP/IP connected the internet. So the internet was not the way it is architected now. So it used to be a network, a very small network in the US that only had a few nodes, right? And then it grew and then there was another network that was established in isolation, and then another network in isolation, and then another country make their own network. So in the UK, we had Janet, and then we had ARPANET, which was the US one, equivalent. And then all these networks were kind of operating in isolation, and then TCP came along and started connecting different networks up in a very clever way. I mean, the way the transmission and IP protocols worked is quite clever. So so think of us as the rails that connect existing networks and future networks without complicating or adding another level of consensus or another level of overhead or making it less resilient or less secure. So we're facilitating the routing and interoperability of existing networks without adding anything more to them.
Awesome. And so tell us a little bit about the actual overlay, so Quant as a company. How big are you at the moment? What's the kind of spread of the team, expertise and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So so right now we're I think today we made it 11. So we just had another person join. So we only technically started operating after we filed the patent in the public, because we had to be quite closed, and when you're doing patents you can't say anything. So since December we've grown to 10 and now 11. So in the last couple of months, and we're looking to sustain that for the next year. So we've got a very strong resource roadmap that we need 14 more people very quickly, and then phasing that and doubling it almost each year. So we're growing. The team is split between London and Switzerland. There's the 3 founders. We've got the lead developers. We've been very busy coding, and then we've got a lot of support in terms of running our comms, our community engagement. If you're in Telegram, you probably came across Alan. I don't think he sleeps. He's always online on Telegram 24/7. He's just doing a really good job. So Alan's our front person, for that social side of the business. And then there's a lot of supporting people in comms, marketing, all the stuff that we're doing in the background, and on the business side as well. So yeah, we've been pretty busy since really opening up to the world since December. So.
And so just in terms of the ICO, I didn't quite catch, are you going to be opening that up to like any type of investor, or is it going to be more like private investors only, or a mixture of both? How are you planning to do that?
Yeah, so we're doing it in line with regulation. As I said, we're operating at quite a high standard, and it will be a mixture of both. So what we're looking to do is we've been on our site, so you've probably seen it. We've been registering people's interests, and we've had quite a lot of people already, indicating their interest into the project, and they would like to invest. So we will follow up with all of those people, within the next week or so. So the goal is to release the business paper, which has all the details of what we're looking to do, and with that comes the timeline for the pre-sale and the ICO as well. So I can't say any more until the paper on Monday, which is the 10th. But it's within the next couple of months. It's very soon.
All right, just as I thought I was going to get some exclusive out of you, you kind of pull back on me. All right, so just one more question before we wrap up. I know you're busy and you probably have to rush off either to Dubai or God knows what, some sort of fancy thing you're doing next in terms of the work that you're doing. So just one more question in terms of, you mentioned, one of the guys, manning the Telegram channel. And so 24/7, I think these are the new tropics that these people live on. They're able to just kind of live without sleeping, or it's just kind of like sleep next to the phone, and you kind of get the if someone's spamming the channel, you kind of develop this kind of sixth sense to know like how the Telegram pings. It's like, oh, that's a spammer, like mute. So like, how is your typical day looking these days? Are you like flying around? Are you working with developers? Are you doing biz dev? What's going on these days with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So Colin's taking care of the technical side, and making sure we've got the right team and the right, you know, Scrum groups and all the stuff that we're building is right and is supported by a great team. The developers that we have, they're all like us. You know, they've been working in industry for 20 years. They've built things for huge organizations, and you know, they really know their stuff. So we're being really picky with who we onboard because you know, we really want A players to make sure we get this right and have the right team. So the team is very important to us. So Colin handles the tech side. My personal days, you know, wake up very early, I don't know, 5 a.m. usually, see what's happened overnight, and it's not just Alan manning the comms and the engagement. You know, we have 5 admins, and we've got people also in Australia. So when we sleep in Europe, the guys in Australia are awake, and they help run things as well. And we also have really good champions within the channel. So we've got we can call them Quanters, or you know, some fans that really help and moderate and you know, help answer questions as well. So there's a lot of good community spirit within that. So usually it's just wake up and see what's happening, catch up on all the emails that have happened overnight, and you know, we are pretty much globally already. And then we have our customers that we're dealing with. So you know, we've got our the example I gave with the bank that we work with. We have a lot of institutional investors on the business side that are meeting with us regularly because they really see the potential. We've got the second largest VC in the world who wants to take a stake into the business. So they found out about us and they contacted us. It wasn't the other way around. So we're getting a lot of positive feedback from the community, especially with big institutional you know, investors like these guys. And we're just doing the day-to-day. The focus has been all the regulatory side lately around working with KPMG. So we've been back and forth to Switzerland a lot to make sure everything's done correctly. And then we're developing the roadmaps and executing on what we're building. So we've got a really strong vision and a strong strategy in play. And we're building towards that, and we've got the right plan in place on how to, you know, achieve that and meet market expectations. So my day is a bit of technical, a bit of business, a bit of, you know, engagement with customers and telling them what we do and how this works, and you know, chatting to the community. So it's all the above.
All right. So there's actually some questions came in on the chat on YouTube, and it's actually quite a lot. So I'll just pick one to honor the community really. It's like the question from Lada comes and it says, "What is the biggest challenge of your projects? Of your project really? What is the biggest challenge that you're facing really?"
I guess having the right expertise and the right team. You know, there's a lot of people who've got a good development background, but they've never worked with blockchain, or they may have played with it, or you know, some people have heard about it. So it's for us. You know, we're really picky. You know, Colin and I are very technical. So when you interview someone, you can usually tell in the first 5 minutes of the depth of their technical expertise. So it's you know, we come from that world. So it's finding the right people, and you know, some of the people that we're interviewing and looking to bring on have done blockchain at banks. One of the persons that we're looking at, he was responsible to do it at Reuters because they've done a lot of blockchain experiments and they've physically implemented a lot of the actual source code, the way the blockchain interacted with existing systems, how they created a private chain, etc. So it was all done, and we can tell because we can really dig into the question. So for us, the biggest challenge is having the right team to execute and achieve the milestones and the roadmap that we have.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Cognizant of the time. Thanks everyone also for asking questions in the chat. We'll look to answer them one way or another. Maybe they're better posted into Overledger Telegram channel as well. I'd like to invite everyone to subscribe here. Please comment and also like this, share it with your friends, family, enemies, lookalikes, whatever you can. So thank you very much, Gilbert. I wish you all the best with the project. Keep us posted. I also ask everyone, if you're interested, maybe we can catch up again in sort of 6 to 9 months to see how you've progressed and how things are going and so on. Probably be like having hundreds of thousands of fans, followers. Maybe you'll be too big to remember us lots, but who knows? Yeah, let's see. It's interesting to see how it all develops. And thank you so much for participating in this. And all the best. Keep in touch, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason, for setting this up, and good to talk to you. And we'd love to do more of this and tell you a bit more about what we're working on. So if you have us again, we'd love to do it. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. All the best to the team as well. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.